In this video, I'm going to go over how you can make the most money off of IDOs and also just coins that are really bullish in general. So if you didn't get into the IDO, you're still able to do this. But I want to show the common pattern of price action. And I brought up 5 examples because that's the max that Dex Tools allows me to. But you can see here that with Wars, Meta Wars, this is a token called out by Alex Becker. Personally, I believe I got in around like 0.27. Now, what I'm noticing is all of these charts have the same type of price action, and I don't want people to be confused or worried or emotional over things like this. And so I kind of want to put a image or a picture for you on how price action works so that you can better make decisions and choices. Now, in crypto or in trading in general, this is a pattern that usually breaks down to the lower side because support is tested many times and buying pressure gets less and less. You can see that like buying shot this up, then selling pressure. Buying was less, but selling pressure. And then this kept happening as price squeezed, and usually it goes down. And this it did go down a little bit. Actually like a decent amount, right? It went down like a good probably around 10%, right? From 2.24 to 0.21. But what I'm seeing with all strong, fundamentally strong coins is that there's always a period of consolidation. And you can see here we kind of traded in this light range from this being the high and this being the low. Now, this is a pattern that is played out again and again, and you'll see this in all of the coins. So when you're early to a coin, especially if it does this huge dump, right? It's worrisome because you're like, you know, if you buy up here, this is like a 33% drop. It's a big drop. And you start to worry and you start to panic. And once this coin starts to get noticed, you're going to see like this huge pump. Now, I'm talking also about Immutable X token, which I believe the same pattern will play out. But if you hear me out and you see this, you'll see what I'm saying. So one scenario is, let's say you got into the Wars IDO, right? And you saw this dump and you start freaking out and you start like panicking. In most cases in crypto, it's better to just hodl and just for some time, right? Have the hodl mentality until you start seeing big profits. Once you start seeing this huge lift off from here all the way up to here, you're talking about a 3x gain. Now, I actually tried to sell at 0.7, but the movement was too quick and I kept failing transactions. So I ended up selling at like 0.50 something. Now, so the first concept I want to really push is just be patient when a coin launches. That's the most important thing. I've never really seen a coin just like launch and then tank to nothing. Like I almost never see that happen. The only time that happens is when you got like a big investor who maybe does a dump but price recovers. I'd say one of the safer times is to buy right when a coin launches. And I know that it's fear, you have a lot of fear. But if the coin is fundamentally strong, like you're good. You're really golden on buying when it just launches. That is one of the best times to buy. And I kind of just want to reassure you with that. I, again, have never seen a coin that fundamentally was strong that launched and ended up just dropping a lot. Now, here, if we move on to this point, you can see that we ended up blasting off and coming right back down. So Altura did the same thing, right? Altura blasted off, except with Altura, you're seeing more of like a bounce up, then down, then up, then down, then up, then down. And so like that's a little bit of a different pattern. It still means that the top was kind of put in for now. It needs some time to cool off. So you can see here, Wars has had a lot of time to cool off. This was the level of where I would have sold. I bought here and I would have sold here, but I didn't catch it. This was like within seconds. I think the period was like 3 minutes long that I had to be able to do that, and I wasn't looking at it at the time. But this was a clear resistance for me to sell. You can see I also tapped it here. So anyway, once we broke under here, I knew, okay, we're probably going to head to the next level down. If not, we'll follow the speed fan, which is maybe we'll break above the speed fan and then go up. And this will now be resistance. But it's had a period of cool off now to the point where I feel safe to where I would buy it again. And another rule I have is I never buy when at a higher price than I sold. There's a few exceptions to that I do take, but in most cases, I am not going to buy at a higher price than I sold. And I follow that rule and it's worked super well for me. So this is Wars. It's something I feel that has consolidated for some time. Yes, it could drop lower, but it's safe to dollar cost average in. This is not financial advice. This is just for entertainment and price understanding purposes only. Now, the next one is engine starter. I actually got into engine starter at around, I think, 70 something, 7 cents. And I sold at like 17 cents. So I did very well. But you can see here that engine starter started off right over here, and it's easy to like panic and worry, and you see this go up and you see it go right back down, and you're like, oh no, and then boom. Followed the exact same pattern as Meta Wars. There's a 3x as well almost. I mean, it is if you could catch the wick. And then what's interesting is with engine starter, I called this in my Discord, but we now have a new layer of support. And basically, this layer of support is a Fibonacci pool. You can see we touched it again, and touched it again. And now we've kind of blasted off. This is a coin that I don't hold anymore. I had to sell it for something else. But I plan to buy back in if it drops. And of course, my area is going to be over here. Of course, you can say the more it's tested, the more chances it will break through, but like to the lower side. But what I'm seeing with engine starter is actually what I call accumulation. And this is very much so with the low liquidity that engine starter has, is because when I buy, like let's say 2 Ethereum, it's going to blow up and the price is going to like pump. And I don't want that. So I would be buying like 0.5 to 1 Ethereum every buy, and I would just wait for price to come back down before I buy again. Now, I show this because what I believe is that a lot of these coins, when they start early, like Immutable X, you're right here, and it's dropped down to I think $4, and it's like people are scared, I'm sure. And the reality is you're probably going to see something like this. Once the hype comes in and people start mass realizing you're going to see the hype, that's probably when you want to sell. Because the same with Wars, Wars actually had a downward trend. This one is actually just accumulation. I'm very bullish on this coin, and I really do believe that this coin is going to do phenomenally well. It's proving itself already with the amount of launches and IDOs it's done. It's going to do in November, and the X's it's already done on its first 3 IDOs, all 10X's average. Like to me, this is a gold mine. I will be going in very soon. I'm just waiting for price to come down. So please don't buy the tops with coins. Like you just don't want to be buying anywhere from like this whole area right here. This area, you don't want to buy this stuff. It's not what you want to buy. All right, so next is Pixelverse. Pixelverse is an IDO that just came out, and so I thought I would just show this chart just because I think it'll be very interesting to see where this levels out at, and you'll see over the next day or two what will happen to this. But assuming, I haven't checked fundamentally if this is a strong coin, but assuming it does well, right? And it just stays in accumulation here, you would expect to see something similar where it does a blast off. Now, this is only if it is fundamentally strong, but it's very likely that it'll still do a pump up if it can find support around this area. I actually sold, I think, like right here on this little pump right there. Bytes is a good one because it first launched, and this is Alex Becker's token. It's not listed anywhere. And you can see it pumped again, and then pumped again, and pumped again. And this would have been the time to sell, right? It's like always accumulation, early phase here, and then this pump that happens. And this is the time to sell. Because you can see what happens is it drops all the way down from 99 or 100 all the way to a low of 44. But I'd say average easy price again was 62. And then do another pump, right? And that's time to get back in. And now it's kind of pulling what Wars is doing. I have not bought back in because this kind of looks like that ascending triangle thing. Again, all it takes is one message from Alex Becker before this pumps again. So could be a good play. I don't know. I'm not here to really talk about that. I'm here to more talk about just what I've seen. So Thetan Arena was a good one because it did the exact same pattern as well. You can see here, the first few days, price was just down here, and it's so scary to buy then. But if you talk about win rate, like the amount of win rates on this is insane. It's like, let's say 90%. So you can mess up one and succeed on 9 others. And I'm not saying you should buy Pixelverse because I haven't even looked at this coin yet. But anything solid, right? Like Cryo Wars that's going to come out. First few days, sure, it's maybe going to pull this. Maybe it's going to drop. You buy up here and you're worried because it drops all the way from 1.8 to 1.36 and you're panicking. And then bam. And this would be the best time to sell. Maybe buy back in if you really believe in the coin. And then guess what happens, right? I rebought back in like right here, and then I sold at $4, sadly. And this has just left me in the dust. No problem. So you can see here we're now in a cool off period. I don't know how long this cool off period will last. We've hit this new thing. This went to this descending wedge. We tapped this level right here. We found support on the wedge, and now we've kind of hit into resistance. So I don't know what will happen with Thetan, but this is a very long-term play for me, and I really like it. Thetan's made me quite a lot of money. So anyway, the reason why I bring this up is Immutable X. Immutable X has just launched, and I think a lot of people who bought are like worried now because they bought at a higher level than what price is trading at. But if things follow, you're going to see some sort of period of price being like taking time in a certain area, and then once attention goes in, it's going to blast off. And you can see here this was a period of like 1 day. This was probably also a period of like 1 day. October 3rd, October 5th. So this was 2 days. October 23rd to October 26th, so 3 days. And I believe this was like 1 or 2 days. September 16th to 18th to 19th, 3 days. So anyway, I hope you guys get a feeling for what I'm trying to share, which is just how price works and that there's always this cool off phase that goes downward. Please don't be buying the tops. Once this type of pump happens, you just don't want to touch it. You really don't. Something like this, if you didn't buy here and you weren't ballsy enough to buy here, you should not be touching this pump, period. You should be buying way down here right now. And yes, it feels scary, but watch this be the moment when this goes way beyond what it just did, right? And then you're like, oh, let me buy in. And then you buy in here, you watch it go up, you think you're doing so well, and then it comes down, and now you're in under the water, and you're just like, oh no, and then it pops, and you're like, yes, it's gonna go up, and then it goes lower. Because that's what always happens. When you see tops, you see it come back and try to retest that top, and then it comes back down. Because tops are tops. And it doesn't mean that the coin won't go back up. It just means that like temporarily, that's how price works. I'm gonna be doing videos like this just because ultimately, like, I don't want people to get burned on this bull market, and I really believe that this bull market is gonna make so much money. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get burned really hard, and it's just so unwise. Now, if you're in the shoes of like not knowing TA, that's no problem. What you should just do, your strategy, in my opinion, should be first few days, buy solid coins that just launched. Wait for pumps. When you feel the top is in, sell. I would say as a rule, anything 2x, you should be taking profits. You should train your mind to take profits. Then sell more with the intention of buying back lower. Now you have to give this a period of what? October 5th, October 12th. That's 7 days, right? And then now we're on November 3rd, and it's still not even finished. If we look at wars, probably going to be near the same thing. top was October 31st. There's been a period of 7 days. And maybe it'll do a pump from here, right? Wars has been going down. It's been 7 days. Maybe it'll do a pump up for a few days. And then maybe it'll come back down. But if you're taking profits, you'll be like, okay, I took my principal out. I took more money in. I buy back. Even if it stays here, you've already made profit. So please have some kind of plan. Don't just ape into crypto and be very unwise with your money, because like there's so much money to be made, and if you're just losing money, that's super unwise, because crypto is still going to play games on you with price action, and that's why it's important that you be skilled at it. So thanks guys, I hope this video helps. Please comment and let me know if this was helpful or what I can do better to help, because if it isn't, then I won't spend the time to do this and try to explain this. I'm not going to be the best teacher at teaching this because I'm new to this, but I will do my best to try to help so that you don't lose a lot of money. Thanks guys.